2, count.
2, 3, 4, 9, 10.
Yay! You counted from 1 to 10. Good morning, everyone. It's Peachy Cantello. So this morning, I woke up to the most amazing thing. I woke up to my 23-month-old counting from 1 to 9. I mean, just keep in mind, he's not quite audible yet. He's not saying words clearly yet. Oh, he says the typical mom, mama, dada, just a few things, that you can hear. He's been trying to practice words, like he'll say dog or cat or car. Like he practices words. He practices his pronunciation, but sometimes he falls short and he doesn't really say the last letter of the word. But today I heard the most audible. It was still a little bit, babyish. Obviously, it's like 1, 2, 3, like the same. Did you guys hear him just say 4 or 5? Let's see if I can get him to count. He counted from 1 to 9. 1, 1, 2. Count with me. Count with me. 1, 2. He's just showing off. He knows how to, and he's just, because he's confident, like, yeah, I know how to. So he's like, I don't have to. I can just do it when I want to. But you see how he finished it off? I went 1, 2, and then he went 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. He's just shocked me this morning because he unassisted 1 to 9. And then just a few minutes ago when I was counting again, trying to get him to count. So I started counting, just hoping he would count along. And he was just listening to me, being the usual that he is, like, I'm not going to do it until I feel like it. So I just counted from 1 to 9, hoping that maybe he'll repeat when I stop. But after I said 9, he said 10. Like, he finished it off, guys. I'm just like, what is happening here? What is happening? You're just a little guy, but you're so smart. They're so smart. They have so much information inside their brains, even though they might not be able to say it. If he could speak already, the things he would tell us, I'm sure there'll be stories upon stories upon stories. Yeah, he's still learning to speak, so he's still in the early stages of speaking, but he was able to sound that out. I'm so excited. So we're downstairs now. I'm just trying to make breakfast because today we are going to the science center. So I gotta get these kids ready. I know the name. This pot needs help. I know it has a different name here. I'm just used to calling it the science center because of, growing up in Toronto. It's very similar. It's pretty much a science center. So this pot needs a little bit of help. See that? You guys ever grab your pots and then they're all spotty and got watermarks and stuff inside? It's clean. It's just like, I guess, watermarks or whatever. What helps with this is just pour some vinegar. Some white vinegar in there. Let it sit for about 15-20 minutes. Just put somewhere out of the way, out of sight. And it will be all clean when you get back to that pot. Now, this baby nails are sharp, eh? He scratched me. Not intentionally, probably in his sleep or something. I had to clip his nails the other day because they grow so fast and I'm losing track. I feel like I used to clip them once a week, like every Friday, clipped both their nails. But then I'm realizing with the little baby here, by Wednesday, they're long enough to, he had a scratch here and somewhere like here. They're long enough to scratch us. So, wait a minute, where's Liam? I can't see you. I can't see you. This, can you guys? I can't see him. I don't know where he is. This challenge is turning out to be more challenging than I expected. The whole, not having my kids in my videos because I'm mommying way too much. Like, I interact with my children I feel like more than the average parent. That's what I feel like. I feel like I interact with my kids a lot. Just because of the type of parenting method that I do is a very hands-on, very hands-on. Like, I don't do babysitters. I don't do nannies, or, I believe in continuation of care. So I do a lot of and I don't need to. That's the thing. I don't need to. I haven't been in a situation where I'm like, oh, I have to go away for work. I have to go here. I have to go do that. So I need to get a nanny. So, and this is what I enjoy doing. You know what I mean? You know what they say, the saying, create the life that you don't want to escape from? That's literally what I did. I waited until I was well ready and prepared to raise children and have children and raise them and put the kind of energy I want into them. So I don't feel like escaping them. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, mom needs a break. I know how to recharge. Like I was saying before, if you watch my other videos, that there's an equal exchange when you're raising kids. Yes, sometimes you don't sleep, but there's an equal exchange of energy. The energy you give to them. I know a lot of times we feel like we're so drained and they just like take all your life force, but then they also give back life force in their own ways, like the bonding that I do between there he goes, putting shoes in the water. This is your puppy and kitty's water. Your puppy's always thirsty because you are always putting toys in his water, and then we have to put his water up here by the sink. You're right there? Where? All I see is cushions and pillows and blankets. So, yeah. I was saying, like, when I breastfeed, for instance, that moment, that time where we're bonding, there is an amazing energy recharge that happens during that time, even though he's taking from my body. But there is emotionally like a very powerful energy exchange that happens, and it doesn't matter how much sleep I didn't get, that alone, or even just teaching. Oh, see, he's sitting on the cushions because he can't see you. He's like, there's nobody there. So that's what I mean. Like, I feel like if this was the way we evolved, is for there to be an equal energy exchange. I feel like we're exhausted when Jesus, almost. Thank goodness it did not break. It did not break. Oh my gosh. Why? But yes, what was I saying? Energy exchange. I feel like the more we move away from the way that we're naturally evolved to raise children, like raising them based on corporate schedule and structure and leaving them in a separate room, and obviously having other people bond and raise our children for us because we have to go work. And I know for a lot of moms these days they have to do that, but I feel like it still doesn't change the fact that we're moving away from the way that we're naturally evolved to raise children. And I feel like that's what drains us the most. And I'm just saying from my experience, because I tried to go back to work at some point. I did go back to work, and I was working, raising kids, and it interrupted that flow that we had established, that exchange, and I was more tired than ever. Like today, I didn't sleep like till 4 a.m., but I feel fine, because the reason I didn't sleep wasn't because of the kids though. But sometimes there are nights where I don't sleep till like 3, 4 a.m. because of the kids. Maybe they're sick or whatever, or their sleep schedule's off for whatever reason. But anyways, yeah, I didn't sleep. I was busy doing my own stuff because I was just like there's things I really need to do and I need that time. So I just took that time from my sleep to do it because I knew that, you know, in the morning I'll be okay. You know, today, like I was saying, we're going to the science center. And what a gift. I'm so glad I didn't have to. Well, it's Saturday, so I know I didn't have to, but I'm so glad it didn't happen at a moment where I had to run, get up and go and rush to work, and then I miss it because I'm so busy getting ready for work, because he said the clearest count 1 to 9. He's like, in his own little baby voice, you could tell those are the numbers. They're not perfectly enunciated yet, but you could tell those are the numbers he's saying. 1 to 9. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. I'm still so impressed. I can't. I'm so happy. These are the moments that I live for right now. As a parent, as a stay-at-home mom, these are the moments that I live to enjoy and see and witness, because I put all of myself into these kids, to teaching them, to them learning these things, to them just fostering an environment that is calm, an environment that is conducive to learning, to growing, to just being happy and enjoying their childhood, just fully enjoying who they are as children and the age that they are. One thing I noticed in daycares and stuff was kids were pushed to be older than they are, always pushed, because people seem to think that that's how you make smarter children, like push them to develop faster, like just hurry them up already. Next milestone, get up and walk, get up and do this, get up and put your, which I know they're trying to help them to learn things, but sometimes I feel like there's more of a push to do it than just assisting you to do what you naturally want to learn. Whereas in my home, they learn what they want to learn. Like, you guys hear me a lot of times saying my 5-year-old, he just turned 5, that he wants to learn addition and subtraction. And in his preschool classes, unfortunately, for his age, they're not doing addition or subtraction because they're just preschool. Like, they're not at the age where kindergarten, you're not learning addition and subtraction. You're learning ABCs and counting 1 to 9 or 10 or 20 or whatever, and your colors and your shapes. But he learned this stuff much earlier on at like 2, because his brain was hungry to learn. I was like, okay, let me assist you in learning what you want to do. I'll be here. I'll provide you whatever material you need to learn what you want to learn. I never push them. Like, when you hear me say he's ahead and he's reading at like a grade 1 level, or he's reading at a, at a level of a 6 or 7-year-old, or he's doing, addition, subtraction, and he's interested in things that, grade 1 to, kids are doing already, even though he just... Okay, Liam, I'm gonna come find you in a minute. Even though he just turned 5, it's not because I'm here pushing them. I know a lot of people get the idea that maybe I'm pushing them and going, you need to learn the next thing, you need to learn the next thing. No. I've always literally just tried to teach them what's age appropriate, and then they go beyond that and they say, no, this is too simple, I already know this, can I learn something else? Like his piano classes. You guys saw him before, where he was constantly making music in his head, singing. So I was like, well, you're musically inclined, that's for sure. Let's get you an instrument and teach you some music. So now we're learning music. And he likes language. He's very curious when he hears people speaking different languages. So I was like, oh, okay, well, your dad speaks French. That's another language and in Canada where we live, it's the second official language. So I was like, let's learn French, because there's other languages that I can teach him. I know other languages as well, but I feel like I want to teach him ones that are going to be useful in his environment the most first. We're going to learn more languages because he's hungry for knowledge. So for now, we're starting with French, of course. And these kids are hungry for it. They are hungry for the knowledge. I don't have to push them. I just ask them, what do you want to learn today? And then I try to obviously schedule around the things that they're interested in learning. And then I teach them those things. So that's how that works. And I'm so excited because
he wants to be your friend too.
I'm so excited. The reason I'm so excited is because I fully understand that my method is not the popular thing. You know, I understand why. You know, if I did the more popular things, obviously everybody would view this more. My channel would grow, my page would grow faster. But that's not my objective. My objective is to take care of my children and give them the best. I know if I agreed with everybody and went, oh yeah, sleep training is amazing, cried out method is amazing, and I agreed with what everybody's doing, what's popular, yes, a lot of people would like me. A lot of people will probably come and like my page more, but that goes against everything I was trained as an early learning and child development person. It goes against, we were taught against that, and yet a lot of us still push those methods because of practicality, because we do at the end of the day live in a corporate a world that's often defined by corporate structure and corporate schedule. So it's a matter of necessity for a lot of us that we do end up prescribing to those methods, but it's not because it's what's recommended in any child development in any child development field. It's actually recommended against that. But I'm not saying that to make any parents feel bad that are doing this. I understand your need to do it, but I'm just saying this to remind other parents that are choosing to do things in the way that is most conducive for child development, in a way that's proven and tested as being the most conducive to creating a very smart, very brilliant, very confident, very comfortable, very expressive, very, did I say confident? High self-esteem children. Not that saying the other methods don't create those kids. Kids are kids. They thrive. They're very resilient. So they'll figure out their ways anyways. But I'm just saying to maximize. There's a difference between just surviving something and just having the optimal opportunity to maximize your abilities. So that's what I feel the difference is. So it's not to knock anybody, just so you guys understand. It's just for me to show parents because there's a lot of stay-at-home moms. I'm in a whole group full of stay-at-home moms, and they feel bad because a lot of times their parents, their sisters, the people in their circles don't support what they're doing, and they constantly remind them that, oh, you shouldn't be doing things that way. You should be doing things the popular way. Because when something is popular, people are on it and they push other people. We're creatures of habit, so we like to do things that we see other people are doing. That is our psychological confirmation that we're doing the right thing. That we're doing the thing that's most optimal for our survival. It's just a survival thing. It's based on our instincts. It's based on our need to survive. It's based on our primitive brain, where we want to walk the path that's being well walked, because that one is probably the least dangerous if more people are walking down that path. But a lot of what we've created in this modern world is driven by industry, and sometimes we lose sight of that, and then we push other parents. I'm telling you, when I started this journey, I was crying a lot because people were pushing me, don't do that, don't do this, don't sleep with your children, they're going to die, just a lot of misinformation, because people are fed a lot of fear. To do the other thing, they have to fear the natural thing that we naturally evolved to do, which is to co-sleep, breastfeed our children, night feed our children for as long as possible. As primates, this is what we do. If you look at other primates, that's what they do. And that's what we've done for many years. and people mistake certain in early learning and development and child care and development, you learn certain things that cause infant death, right? And sleeping with your child is not one of them. Neglect is one of them. Neglect, not giving them affection, them not getting enough nutrients because they're not being breastfed enough, or they're not being bottle fed enough, or there's a lot of other issues, high toxicity in their bodies, for instance. They can get to a point where they're just like anybody, their organs fail. But we don't look into those things. We just say, the people that have infant deaths the most are the ones that are falling asleep breastfeeding their children, and then they smother their child to death. But a lot of those people are, what you don't look into those cases is what state was the mom in. Because I breastfed both children, and it doesn't matter how exhausted I was, I've never smothered them. And I can tell there's no way to possibly do that unless I'm intoxicated. My mind has to be altered. I have to be intoxicated on something. So there's a lot of moms that, the cases I hear, the cases I've studied where those things have occurred are actually quite rare. And they're not the same as sudden infant death syndrome is a whole different syndrome. And there's causes why that happens. It's not related to breastfeeding your child while you're sleeping. It's not related to co-sleeping with your child and breastfeeding. It's not related at all. And again, like I'm saying, this is just my experience and what I've learned from my early learning and child care courses, and what I've learned from my culture, which in my culture, we sleep with our children. So, one sec. Oh my gosh, guys. If my baby starts counting from 1 to 9 again, I swear I don't even care about this. I'm gonna drop this challenge so quick and record it for you guys to see, because this is why I started, I guess, including them in my videos, is to record these milestones, and so I can remember and come back to them.
Can I jump on the trampoline and you can count?
Not yet. I'm not ready. I'm making breakfast right now. Are you hungry? But anyways, that aside, I'm probably not going to stop the challenge, but that maybe, I don't know. It depends how I feel. If you just, it's just, my heart is so heartwarming, guys. It's so heartwarming. But yes, there's a lot of things that we read sometimes as data, and then we kind of just, or just we hear about, and then we think, oh, that's fact, or it's data, but then it's not accurate, because a lot of people are mistaking instances where moms are, let's say, intoxicated or whatever the case is, which are much rarer, and then they smother the kid or whatever the case is. But it's not that simple. Like, the mechanism of like breastfeeding, especially when you're laying down, is very like even you know, like what angle you lay with, the angle your baby is laying. And as a mom, you sleep very lightly. I used to be a deep sleeper. Before I had kids, I was a deep sleeper, but now I'm a light sleeper. So the angle we sleep, like the head, the way it's propped when you're sleeping, is so that his mouth, when children naturally are breastfeeding, their head is like tilted up like this. And let's say this is the nipple, like that. So the breast is curving away from the nostrils. So it's not possible unless you breastfeed like this. Nobody breastfeeds like that. Nobody breastfeeds like this, where the top of the breast can smother their, so they're like that. So the cases where they get smothered, the mom actually physically moves her body out of breastfeeding mode, out of the latch, and disconnects the latch, and then smothers the baby because she's too deep in a sleep, because of other factors, medication, alcohol. There's a lot of factors. But if you're not taking any of those things, I wouldn't be scared of those things, because that's never been an issue. For SIDS, that's a whole different case. Kids that are even in cribs die of SIDS at alarming rates. And there's other issues going on that I don't want to get into, because there's still a lot of politics around it, because there's certain industries that don't want to acknowledge these things, that this is what's causing it. So I don't want to get into it on this platform, because it's just going to create I guess, I don't know, more issues. This morning, Liam, when I woke up with Huey, he counted from 1 to 9. Yeah, I know, right? He's like, oh, I wish I could show you his facial expression right now. He counted from 1 to 9. Isn't that amazing? The baby's so smart. So yeah, like I said, once something is popular enough, is popularized, that's how humanity feels that it's then correct and then justified to push it on others. Because to us, we think we're well-meaning, we think we're helping, we think we're informing people, we think we're helping them to know something maybe that they didn't know, but they knew, they just chose against it because maybe they know something else that you probably don't know, that the stats actually weigh, the real stats, not the political stats. So my method of parenting, I know, is like unpopular, but the reason I share is because I know there's a lot of moms that are doing this or trying to do this and are discouraged because it's so popular that politically, when I say politically, I mean the people that control the public opinion, the people that influence and control public opinion, who are often the same people that are benefiting, profiting off of these decisions. It's in their best interest to keep that popular. And so what you end up having is moms that want to do things a different way, and then everybody kind of pressuring them, peer pressure, basically. So I want to give you some examples that kind of show how some stats or some data or some ideas or beliefs we have are influenced by the culture and the environment we live in. For example, in North America and Europe, places like this, there is a common belief and also it's believed to be a study, which there was a study back in, like, I forget what year it was. I studied this also in early learning and childcare. There was a study on a population of women, right, to see at what age of giving birth to children do women start having birth-related issues, but also specifically the rate or increase of birth defects in children because of that those late pregnancies, how they increase because of age, because as you get older. So this study was made. It was determined that yes, women over the age of 35 should not have children, or they're not recommended to have children because of the rate or increase in birth defects. And then that study's there, okay. On the other side of the world, in places like the Middle East, Africa, Asia, women are known to have children until they hit menopause, so well past the age of 35. This was not the population that was included in this study. So these women have a very different lifestyle, they have a very different diet, they have a very different culture, they have very different social supports, very different community altogether. But the results are completely different. If anything, birth defects are quite rare and usually associated to specific places that are influenced by certain diets that are introduced from outside, or outside factors that are introduced in those specific areas in those countries. But the areas where they still do things very traditionally, eat a very traditional diet, birth defects do not seem to increase. In North America, in the West, the Western influenced world is what I should say, right? On the other hand, birth defects are going up. On the same note, even here in North America, consciousness about diet and health is also increasing. And women, older women now are healthier than ever before. they're eating healthier, they're working out, they're doing all sorts of things. And the age of giving birth, of having children in the westernized world is getting older and older, right? And yet even young people are having children with certain issues because of, lack of access to a rich diet, to resources, to support systems, to a healthy diet, right? Because if you're younger, chances are if you're younger and you have a child, economically you're not at the same stage as someone who's much older, like myself. Having a child, I'm more stable, I'm more economically stable, I'm more emotionally, mentally stable, all of those things. And I have more that I feel like I can offer in other areas. So now you have these situations where, yes, you do have this so-called study that was, when we looked into it and really looked at the background, it was a population of a certain group of European women whose diets were actually quite questionable. The rate of obesity in that culture was actually quite alarming. So now this is the culture and the lifestyle, their diet, that this is the population that they took and did the study that we now, for the most part, all believe that after 35 you should not have children because of risks, because of this birth. But it was in a population that lived and ate in a way that is not now, from what we know, considered healthy. It's not considered healthy. So sometimes when we look at studies, don't just look at a study and say, oh, this is the study, full stop. The study says, that's it, that's the end of it. I like to look beyond the study, look at who created the study, because that will give you a lot of insight in their own mentality, their own beliefs, and how their beliefs influence the study, because there's always a bias. Even in creating a study, they try to make it as neutral as possible, but we're human beings. It's almost impossible to make it neutral. Look at the populations they're studying. Are they making that population the sample for the world, which is impossible to take a population of just one place, like this example of women in this specific area? They did not represent the population of the world. And yet the standards that came from the study are now being imposed, literally imposed, to the rest of the world. Doctors are telling women all over the world, even in cultures like mine, where women have been having children for thousands of years, well up until their 60s, with no issues. And they're telling these women, the results, based on the results of studies from a completely different population and lifestyle of women and diet of women. So you really have to dig deeper when you're looking at anything like a study, or when people are sharing certain ideas with you. Even what I'm saying, dig deeper. Don't take my word for it. You can take what you want to take from it, but always do your research and look at what's behind, what's motivating each study, the population that's being studied. Do they reflect you? This term we like to say a lot, representation. Representation matters. Representation matters. We talk about movies and stuff, about how, especially olden time movies did not represent the rest of the population. They didn't represent the planet. Even modern day movies. Some modern day movies, you'll see a whole cast and it's just one race of people. But they're living the scene is in the world, but it's just one race of people. And you can see how the disparity there is not representing the actual world. Because when you live in the real world, you're going to run into diversity. You're going to run into different people. I'm Canadian. And for a lot of people that are watching, they'll be like, wait, what? I thought Canadians were white. No, Canadians are different races. The white Canadians also immigrated here from Europe. There was no white person that just woke up and they were just Canadian, right? We have the native people of this land who also at some point, some of them immigrated here thousands of years ago. So we have a melting pot of different races. We have the native people of this nation. We have which we call the First Nations. We have, and there's others in between as well that are not recognized throughout history that did come as well to these nations that are different races. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But then I'm talking about I don't want to talk about small little populations. I want to talk about the bigger populations in this nation. So we have Black people who came here a long time ago, like 6-7 generations ago, for all sorts of different reasons. And some of them were slaves, and some of them were runaway slaves, as you hear the stereotypical stories from the States that ran away and came to Canada. Yes, some of them are those, but some of them came for entirely different reasons, no association to slavery whatsoever. And they all settled in one area in, is it Nova Scotia, I believe, if I remember my history well. And they've been there for generations. So the Canadian face ranges from my husband to my kids to me, a whole different Asian people, the Japanese that came a long time ago and were part of the labor force that was building the railroads and all sorts of things. So the face of Canada is diverse, but then there's always the stereotypical face of Canada, what you see in the media. This is a classic example of some of the beliefs we have and the things we do. We sometimes believe the things that are popular, but then it doesn't represent reality on the ground. Same with studies. Sometimes studies will be based on a popular population, or not a popular population, but like a specific population. And that study becomes popular in its own, in different populations that it doesn't actually represent. You see, it doesn't represent certain classes of people, economics, certain lifestyles, certain diets, but then we take it on as a cookie cutter. In life, there is nothing that is cookie cutter. There is no one size fits all in life. Maybe with the exception of love. But even with love, there's different ideas of what love is. So you see, there's nothing that is one size fits all. So with that said, I want you guys to take this home. Whatever it is that you believe in is the best way to parent or whatever, because of something that somebody told you or something you've read. Always look deeper into it, because for myself, I did a lot of research and digging into the sources behind certain things, like I explained already, like the cried out method and sleep training, all that stuff, where it originated from, who it originated from. And trust me, when you learn who, that is an interesting topic all on its own. And something that will really make you think, reflect, and question a lot of what you believe. So I'm going to leave you with that, just because I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff. I just came on here to celebrate that my 23-month-old literally recited the numbers 1 to 9 this morning. And when I counted it back to him, he literally finished it off and said 10 at the end, because I only counted 1 to 9 because I wanted him to repeat it so I could record it. But I wish you guys a wonderful weekend. I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the sunny weather. We have sunny weather here, even though it's quite cold. Excuse me. Even though it's quite cold here. But at least we have the sun. I can sit inside by the sun here and just have a little bit of, just imagine I'm laying on a beach somewhere warm, But yeah, one of these days, it'll be a reality. We'll just, when winter hits, pack up our bags and go somewhere warm. I know it will be a reality. I can feel it. Just like I felt everything else that became a reality in my life. I can feel it. I can feel the future. I can feel it, guys. Anyways, enjoy yourselves. And I also wish all your dreams come true. As long as they don't hurt anybody, I wish all your dreams come true. And have a wonderful weekend. Ciao.